Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines we have here. Largest signal to date, a recession may be on the books. Senator Cruz in Bitcoin, Texas, NFT, XRP ledger, SEC's Gary Gensler. We got John Deaton in the news today. We're talking about an extension today. We got Brad Garlinghouse on Fox. We got Wall Street telling us that the Fed and Wall Street and the bankers, they're saying a digital dollar spells destruction, and Brad Garlinghouse destroys the idea by shattering the paradigm of physical cash. Somebody roll that beautiful intro. You're going to want all of this.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at Dig Perspectives at the top of the screen. Everything we're talking about here today, $1.314 trillion market cap is where we are this morning. Or actually this afternoon, late this afternoon, May 24, 2022. Good afternoon, everybody. 1.34 is where we are, or 1.314, and it's Bitcoin at 29,300, Ethereum at 1,900 plus, and we see XRP at 40 cents right now. Look at the range of price very quickly here. We see we are ranging between 39 cents on the low side and 42 on the upper side. We will keep an eye on it. I tell you what, we get 39 cents. Why did I catch that dip? I don't know what I'm doing. I got to set an alarm clock. I got to put a little, set an alarm for my trading app to see what's going on here. I don't want to miss these dips. Anyway, take a look at this really quickly here. Talk about dips. Bill Ackman said raging inflation will only dissipate if the Fed acts more aggressively or the market sell-off turns into a full-on collapse. Markets will soar once investors can be confident the day of runaway inflation are over. Well, that day, I think, is a lot further away than people realize. Then look right here. I feel like this could be one of the largest signals to date that a recession may be on the books. I always say, prepare for the worst, hope for the best. You know, it's cash, crypto, XRP, XLM, and gold for me, and fine art, actually. And you guys know that I am really big and happy to be working with Glint. And I'm telling you, there's a link underneath the video, and it is a way for me to diversify and get gold, and gold that I can spend. And that's what I love about this. I can buy, save, and spend real gold and my US dollars on my app and on this card, and it is physically allocated to you. Check out the link underneath the video. Senator Ted Cruz wants his home state of Texas to be at the center of crypto development, he says. He believes in crypto, Cruz said. I want Texas to be the oasis on planet Earth for Bitcoin and crypto. Yeah, look, I'm all about crypto innovation. I'm all about the fourth industrial revolution for blockchain and crypto and applicable use cases. But I have to say, this is missing the mark by a little bit here. Proof of work is not necessary to make blockchain function. So when I read this, as well intended as it may be, it seems a little like somebody saying, hey, I want to use dial-up telephones. It's like, but we have smartphones now. No, I want to use dial-up telephones, and I want to make it the oasis on planet Earth for dial-up telephones. Because telephones showed us in the early days what was in fact possible, right? And just Bitcoin has done the same thing, but the technology has certainly advanced with other projects and protocols. Right here, speaking of projects and protocols that are advancing, we're seeing the vote with the validators to vote in favor of the XLS20 standard, which would bring non-fungible tokens to the ledger. That is coming up very soon. So make sure if you are a validator, you get out there and vote and get those NFTs on the XRP ledger so the NFT creators and users can start to actually use them without getting drilled with the high gas fees they currently experience on a network like Ethereum. This is Gary Gensler, and I'm not going to play this because I don't want you to get sick while you're in your car at work while you're listening. But while crypto markets may offer new ways for entrepreneurs to raise capital for investors to trade, we will still see a need for investor and market protections. Let's not risk undermining 90 years of security law, Gary Gensler says, create some regulatory arbitrage or loopholes. Look, I'm all for exchanges you know, I'm all for exchanges not front running and providing the kind of protections we would get anywhere else, like on NASDAQ or the NYSE. But the problem is that we're worried that Gary Gensler will assume that every single cryptocurrency on the platform is a security if he gets to regulate the platforms. That's the concern. And here we have right here Library, who has dealt with their trouble with the SEC for, I think, 4 years now. And Gary says, Gary, the rules are clear. Blockchain Entry says, can we read them? Gary says no. Industry, can you give us any hints? Gary says no. Industry, guesses at rules? Gary says, you guessed wrong. Go to jail. This is exactly the way they've been enforcing. And Gary Gensler says in this video, and like I said, I'm not going to play it, but he says in this video, come in and see us. We'll tell you what you need to do. That has not been the case at all. Ripple and Library themselves have made it very clear that that is not the reception they get from the SEC. This is a very quick clip here. You need to hear that extension of ETHgate. This is a forum that's got Charles Hoskinson in it. Very short clip. Listen to this.
But my whole point is yesterday the SEC simply talked about Ethereum and Ether today. I'm not saying they're not going after the bad actors. I do believe, and I've said this for a long time, that they were going to somehow find a way to make Ethereum legitimate today moving forward. And they were going to accomplish that by maybe, and this might be what they're doing, that they're going to carve out the sale. They're going to punish some people for the sale. And they're going to allow the platform to sustain. I've always said I thought Vitalik was working with the government at this point. I think he's one of the...
Which government? Which government?
Anybody and everybody. I'm not limiting it. I think he's recognized that I think there are certain people in the space that are prescient. They know that their best bet is to work with global regulators. I think Vitalik's in that group. I think the Winklevoss twins are in that group. Oh, yeah. I think the Circle Consortium's in that group.
Right. So you have that clip. Now listen to this clip very quickly here.
2014 to 2017 and are basically going to get a free pass, have a leg up in destroying the world. The people who got away with it from 2014 to 2017 and are basically going to get a free pass, have a leg up in destroying the world.
That's unbelievable, right? Because that is what we're seeing today. And I tell you, we're not going to stop fighting for a level playing field until we get one for the entire crypto space, not just XRP. Now take a look at this. This is the one and only Jeremy Hogan here talking about the recent filing that John Deaton made for 67,000 plus XRP holders. I want you to hear this from right about here. Let me line this up for us really quickly. Here it is right here. Will the judge grant the motion for John Deaton to be able to participate in the information to the judge, informing her on what he sees taking place here? Take a listen to Jeremy Hogan's thoughts here. Check it out.
Which is, will the judge grant the motion for the XRP holders to file their amicus brief? And the answer is yes. I think so. And it's because, as Deaton very eloquently says, quote, allowing amici to brief legal issues surrounding the opinions of Mr. Duty epitomizes the type of assistance the court contemplated when it granted amici status and stated, quote, such assistance will be most beneficial during briefing on dispositive motions, but may exercise its discretion to request or deny further applications as appropriate, close quote. Motions related to Mr. Duty's opinions could prove dispositive when applied to the SEC's sweeping allegations regarding the XRP acquired in today's secondary market. Amici's participation will help ensure the complete and plenary presentation of these difficult issues and will aid the court in its gatekeeping function.
Close quote. There you go. Thank you, Jeremy Hogan. So essentially saying that he believes that the motion that he's filed here, that he has a hunch that he thinks that the expert Mr. Duty for the SEC has not really bothered to interview one XRP holder, but still comes up with the rationalization that he thinks XRP is in fact a security. However, we have some news on that right now. This just in. This is from Crypto Law. SEC letter requesting 5-day extension to reply to the letter. John Deaton on behalf of Amici seeking leave to file amicus brief. The letter notes both Ripple and Deaton do not object. So basically everybody agrees to give them the extension. And I say here, John Deaton, the fact that the SEC needs an extension and doesn't want to rush its response mean the SEC is either scared or concerned about XRP holders or both. And I do believe that's the case. And when it comes to the fact that everyone agreed, and I understand that none of this is going to affect the ultimate timeline of the court case itself, I say this: John Deaton knows what's best, and we're 100% behind you all the way. Appreciate you, John Deaton, big time. Now let's get into this, because now we're going to talk about this. This is Brad Garlinghouse on Fox. And if you didn't think that everyone's watching us, stay classy, XRP holders. They're watching and listening to everything we do in the XRP community. Don't believe it? It's still true. Take a listen.
Well, I think the whole industry needs to be more transparent. I think that applies to Tether. I think that applies to, the whole industry. From the earliest days, Ripple and the XRP community, we've tried to lead by example. We've really tried to be the adults in the crypto room.
Ripple and the XRP community, we've tried to lead by example. We've really tried to be the adults in the crypto room.
And there you have it. And he's referencing the XRP community in that statement. And that is quite a thing to do, because he doesn't have to, but he does it because he wants to. And that, to me, is pretty remarkable from Brad Garlinghouse. Now, here's where we start with the big part here. And we're going to see some responses from Ripple and Brooks Entwistle from Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse here and Jeremy Allaire. And I think all of this is going to take us exactly to where we're going, where you want to go today. Wall Street says a federal dollar spells destruction for banks. Well, this is the fear, right? This is the pounding and the fear mongering they do, that we don't want this new thing, right? But the reality is I think they just want to control this new thing. That's what they really want to do. Now, I'm not going to read you this whole article, but you get it. They don't want it. That's what they're saying, and it will cause massive destruction, and it's a dangerous idea, right? Well, you're going to have Brooks Entwistle tell you what the deal is here. He says, great stat from this Ripple and Oliver Wyman report. 20 to 40 million Americans have yet to interact with crypto, but would consider it if they could access assets via their bank. More below on the opportunity for traditional finance. And it's a post from Ripple talking about bringing together banks and financial intermediaries for increasingly exploring how they can offer digital assets to their customers. And that's what this, I believe, comes back to. They're in fear of it. It's destructive. It's dangerous unless they get to control it. I think Brooks Entwistle says it best right there. And take a look at this. This is from the World Economic Forum from Documenting Ripple here. It says a digital currency should be adopted as the world's leading reserve currency. That's interesting. Now, this is a 3-minute clip. No, this is the 45-second clip here, right? Yeah. And I want you to hear this because I've got this set up. And in fact, this might not be the length that I wanted. And you need to hear it. Let me get this actually open here. One quick second here. You need to see this. Okay, here we go. So I want to take you through this. Now, part of this clip you may have heard from this morning's video, but there's a lot that comes after it here that's really going to explain what I believe and dispel, shatter, if you will, the paradigm of what the thought of physical cash is and the fear of the banks that are saying they don't want any of this digital money. First of all, digital money already exists. My God, even Gary Gensler agrees with that. Listen to this clip and I'll take you to where we need to go. Here we go.
Approach here, just like a mobile SIM is of certain use, you can take a risk-based approach, and if you start to want to interact with an identity that is doing a larger amount, then you might have other identity requirements that emerge. But we have to preserve digital cash. That has to work on the open internet. It has to work interoperably with anyone, anywhere. That's how we're going to solve this problem, and I think we're really close. I mean, USDC itself. We've seen over $3.5 trillion of transactions directly on the internet between counterparties. And
now that's a lot of liquidity that they could plug into the XRP ledger, and he's about to reference that right now.
And so if we can, improve it with more scalable blockchain technologies like Brad's company provides, and we can make this extremely low cost to move, and then enable individuals with digital wallets that can interact, and you can scale into the risk, right, is the way I like to think of it. But at a base layer, if you want to solve for this problem, governments have to accept that people want digital cash. That is a product that they want. And from a remittance perspective, that's critical. That's if you want to educate someone and say, hey, you should do this digitally, they want to know, is this as good as cash? Can someone turn it off? Can they turn it off? Is it as good as what I get when I get cash? And I think we need to answer that question definitively as a society if we want to solve this remittance problem.
Keep listening.
Absolutely. And just, you want to come back?
Well, on a philosophical basis, I agree with Jeremy, full stop. The thing to think about, I think, is if you approach the regulators with you need to adapt to us, I mean, that is dead on arrival. Like in my experience, and globally, and frankly, even here in Davos, meeting with financial regulators in all kinds of countries, I think we have to acknowledge, Ben Bernanke, the former head of the US Fed, came to one of Ripple's customer events, and one of the things he said is, countries will not give up their ability to control monetary supply. They will roll tanks into the streets first, because it's giving.
And that's exactly right. And I've said that 1,000,000 times on this channel, and I'll say it 1,000,000 more. The governments and the banks of this world will never let something like Bitcoin grow out of them. And you know what I mean? They will not let it grow out beyond their control. Everything they're doing with stablecoin regulation, custody, and CBDCs, it's all about remaining powerful, in control, and relevant. And he is acknowledging that for us right now. But keep listening. There's something else to get out of this too now.
Up sovereignty. Now, we can debate whether or not some countries at the longer tail ever had control of their money supply. But the G20, I think I agree with Jeremy that digital cash, cash is anonymous and private and all those things.
But listen to what he's about to say now. Cash is anonymous and private and all these things, but
if you ever walk into the bank and ask to withdraw $20,000 of cash, they're going to ask you a lot of questions, at least in the United States and other G20 markets. And so the way I think about is in terms of solving
that's a risk-based approach, right? It's sort of saying if you're gonna have these bearer instruments of that scale, we need to know a lot more about you.
Yeah.
Now, see, you know, this is interesting to me because what you're hearing from both of them is, first, I think you're hearing Brad make the case that for the banks around the world that are saying they're scared, the Wall Street, the bankers, and the Fed may be scared that CBDCs or digital dollars are destructive and a dangerous idea. I think what you're also hearing is Brad Garlinghouse saying, listen, it's no more dangerous than physical cash, because if you go into a bank and try to take 20 grand of your own money out, you're going to have a whole list of questions. What are you doing with the money? Why do you need $20,000 today? We can only give you $5 today. Right? I mean, this goes on all the time. He's making a fantastic point. And then you have Jeremy Allaire come in behind it and say, you know what? That's really just risk activities, right? Where you raise the amount of money you want. So then there's a higher bar to entry to get this money. But it's your money. Right? I mean, that's the real catch and the rub here at the end of the day. But if it's digital, there really has to be less questions about it because they're just monitoring what you're doing anyway digitally, aren't they? Let's keep listening.
I think there is a role that we can all play to make sure that we have regulations, but more creative regulations is more enabling. You know.
Yes, and let me move forward here. It starts right here. 1 second. Now, listen to this gentleman talk about incentivizing the citizens to use the actual payment rail for the government with a 2% bump in using that payment rail. And what they saw in return was an increase in their transaction fees from incentivizing them to use that rail. And then go back in your mind while you're listening to this, think of Chris Giancarlo suggesting it is worth considering for the United States to adopt a value protocol to use as a dedicated protocol like the internet, for more like the protocols for the internet, to move value. Then it's held to a constitutional standard, and we should have our privacies. We should have all the things that come with it. In theory, listen to what this gentleman says here from India.
By adding these constraints, the one thing that government actually misses out on is that people actually, for convenience, go through the hawala system, which is the non-formal system and much more dangerous because there are other channels. And during COVID time, one very interesting thing happened. Government added 2% incentive in Bangladesh, and that
Bangladesh
dramatically increased money sending through official channels. So going digital actually will increase government's net sort of income of foreign resources, which is becoming very, very important right now in this economy.
Excellent point.
Increasing net resources. Now listen to Brad follow up here.
What I agree with both of these gentlemen is, I think where governments do need to it's less about adapting, more understanding. People think that digital currencies are somehow more can circumvent. As Jeremy's described, digital currencies actually in many ways are more traceable and more trackable and more visible. And so in some ways, I think governments should actually like it better. But
and that's really where we are here. And I totally get what he's saying. And he does align with what Jeremy Allaire and what the other gentlemen are saying there. And it really kind of shatters the paradigm of thinking of people who believe that physical cash is the only way to keep your anonymity and your privacy. Because truthfully, if you go over a certain amount of your own money that you want to take out of a bank, they're going to have a long list of questions of why you want your money. And how is that any different than us being in a digital world where you would probably have less questions about it and just they would monitor it back in and make sure that that money didn't go to some suspicious digital wallet for some suspicious digital activity, right? That's going to do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe, leave a comment below, share with somebody you know. I believe we're getting closer and closer all the time. One thing I do feel like is I've never tried to say when I think all of this really takes off and happens, but I tell you this, I'm convinced now more than ever that it's going to. Not financial advice, just my digital perspectives. I'll catch all of you on the next one.